A nation's image is built not just by policy, but also by the repetition of correct behavior bows at the right angle trains, arriving on time apologies spoken even when there is no fault. In Japan, perfection operates as a way of life. But behind that precision lies a system that shapes people through collective expectations and pressures to control themselves. Discipline is admired, but it also blurs the line between the voluntary and the compulsory. When everything is programmed from emotions to behavior, what space is left for the individual's role in the system? Number 1. Geometric order of society. In a society where respect is measured by the degree of inclination, bowing is more than just politeness. It is an invisible frame of reference that governs everyday behavior from the workplace to the train corridors. 15 degrees for a casual greeting, 30 degrees for a more formal relationship, 45 degrees for a deep apology. Each degree carries a specific social weight. There are no laws, but the whole system operates as if it were mandatory. School children are taught to bow as early as kindergarten. Office workers practice their bows in unison before opening the door. To outsiders, it may seem like a rigid formality, but to the Japanese, it is a way of maintaining order without words. This hierarchy is also reflected in the length of the bow. Who bows first? Who bows deeper? Every small mistake can be considered impolite. In a business context, partners look at every gesture to evaluate attitudes. When a crisis occurs, a leader standing in front of the press and bowing for 30 seconds is not a performance. It is a social act, admitting responsibility, saving face, and protecting collective reputation. The younger generation is beginning to ask, why has form become more important than substance? Some people consider bowing to be just empty social etiquette. However, most still maintain it as a reflex, especially in the workplace and school environment, where the individual image is always linked to the collective role. Elsewhere, apologies are made when one is wrong. But in this society, bowing comes before explanation. Does it bring people closer together or create a distance that no one dares to cross? Number 2. Systematizing silence in life. Silence is not just a reaction. For the Japanese, it is a principle of life that is deeply ingrained in all levels of society. Gamen, enduring without complaining, is not simply a personal choice, but a common norm for maintaining order. Whether waiting in the snow for a late train or facing unreasonable pressure from superiors, the common reflex is to endure. Maintaining a facade of stability is seen as the only way for society to continue functioning without collapsing. The origin of gamen is inseparable from the continuous natural disasters in history, along with the profound influence of Zen and Confucianism. When people cannot control nature, they control themselves. When they cannot avoid difficulties, they learn to survive within them. Gamen thus becomes a venerable quality associated with the virtue of resilience and the ability to sacrifice for the collective good. But in modern reality, gamen also creates a heavy mental burden. According to 2023 data, Japan recorded a suicide rate of 15.3 per 100,000 people, one of the highest among developed countries. In particular, cases related to work, family, and school pressures are marked by prolonged silence not properly released. Number 3. Work to exhaust. In many cultures, hard work is encouraged. In Japan, it can lead to death. Karoshi death by overwork is not a sensational term. It is officially recorded in national health statistics and has even sparked parliamentary hearings. Karoshi's origins date back to the aftermath of World War II, when Japan needed to rebuild at an extraordinary pace. Work became synonymous with patriotism, and devotion to the company became a matter of personal honor. The salaryman model took hold with long hours, unpaid overtime, and almost never used vacation time. This culture was protected not only by lax policies, but also by deeply entrenched social expectations. Despite government efforts to regulate, such as the Labor Reform Act of 2018, which limited overtime to 100 hours per month, the situation has not improved significantly. In 2024, the Japanese Ministry of Health and Welfare reported 883 confirmed cases of work-related mental disorders, an increase of more than 24% from the previous year. This does not include the thousands of cases that go unreported or avoid medical help for fear of losing face. Reaching the point where the body stops responding is a sign that the system has crossed a limit. In Japan, that limit has been accepted for so long that when someone crosses it, they give it a name and carve it into their records as a sort of measurable end. Number 4. Academic competition. The pressure in Japanese schools is not superficial discipline, but a hidden tension that lasts for 12 years. From elementary school, students are trained to enter a race whose prize is a place in a prestigious university. Missing an important exam is not only a lost educational opportunity, but also a personal failure. The system of standardized examinations is strict, notably the Central University Entrance Examination, which determines almost all public university entrance. Statistics in 2024 show that more than 500,000 candidates took the exam to win only a few tens of thousands of places at top universities such as Tokyo or Kyoto. If they fail, most have to choose to repeat another year, becoming ronin, a state halfway between student and unemployment. At the same time, cram schools juku have proliferated in urban areas, staying open until 10 p.m. They are no longer study aids, but secondary classes that most students are forced to attend to keep up. Many 13-year-olds study more than 60 hours a week. Families spend an average of $2,000 to $4,000 a year on tutoring, viewing it as an investment that cannot fail. Under such chronic pressure, psychological consequences are inevitable. In 2024, Japan recorded 529 student suicides, a record high. Notably, more than 30% of these were linked to academic stress, according to a report from the Ministry of Education. Quiet classes. Rigorous testing and reminders to try a little harder may mask the reality many students feel trapped by a system that leaves no breathing room. Number 5. Minimalism and the withdrawal from collective standards. In cities where every square meter of living space is counted, the Japanese have found a different way of living, stripping away everything unnecessary. Minimalism is no longer an interior design style, but a lifestyle that responds to a society suffocated by expectations and excessive pressure. Many young people's living spaces no longer have full wardrobes or towering bookshelves. A 15 square meter apartment may contain only a mattress, a few household items, a laptop, and a single cup of tea. Cutting back on material things has become a way for them to regain control of their minds, which are being invaded by busy schedules and the pressure to succeed. Japan's interior design trend, a fusion of Nordic aesthetics and Japanese minimalism, is spreading. By 2024, a survey by architecture magazine Uchi Japan found that more than 60% of people aged 25 to 40 in Tokyo and Yokohama had moved to living with fewer than 100 personal items. Number 6. Community reproduction through Matsuri. In a life defined by norms and discipline, festivals in Japan are a rare time when communities allow themselves to live fully. Matsuri is more than just processions, fireworks, or drums. It is a collective memory reenacted in cycles. Each year, each season, each region has its own reason to gather dress, upshout, and recall a part of identity that seems to have fallen asleep. Tanabata, the festival of the cowherd and the weaver girl, is celebrated on the 7th day of the 7th lunar month, where people write their wishes on strips of paper and hang them on bamboo branches. In many towns, these wishes are still kept like wordless social diaries. Summer Matsuri in Kyoto or Aomori attract millions of people each year, but more notable are the smaller festivals in the villages where people make their own floats, sew costumes, and pass down rituals to the next generation. The Japanese government considers these festivals to be cultural assets, not only providing funding for their preservation, but also recognizing many of them as national intangible heritage. In 2023, more than 300,000 festivals, large and small, took place nationwide, according to statistics from the Ministry of Culture. This number not only shows the richness, but also reflects the role of community bonding in the digital age. Number 7. Japanese culinary philosophy. Every meal in Japan not only satisfies the palate, but also follows a philosophical order: 5 flavors, 5 colors, 5 methods. This is not a culinary convention, but an expression of a worldview where balance, harmony, and moderation are the fundamental principles. The 5 flavors are salty, sweet-sour, spicy, and bitter. The 5 colors are white, black, red, green, and yellow. And the 5 methods are raw, steamed, grilled, fried, and stewed. An ideal meal often includes all of these elements without needing an abundance of ingredients, just the right proportions and rhythm. That balance creates a feeling of comfort for the body instead of overstimulating like many other cuisines. This refinement comes from Zen philosophy and the concept of shun eating according to the seasons. That's why Japanese cuisine changes with the times of year. Spring means tempura. With young vegetables, summer means cold soba noodles. Fall means grilled sanma fish. Winter means hot pot oden. Even the presentation reflects respect for nature. Sashimi is served next to shiso leaves and grated daikon, not for decoration, but to cleanse the palate and increase antibacterial properties. In 2013, UNESCO recognized washoku, traditional Japanese cuisine, as an intangible cultural heritage. But even on the international stage, the Japanese choose to remain humble in their cooking and eating. Number 8. Tea ceremony in Japan. No music, no loud voices, no unnecessary movements. The Japanese tea ceremony chado is one of the most profound spiritual rituals ever conceived in concrete action. Each hour-long tea session is not about enjoying the taste of tea, but about returning to each breath, each movement, as if time were reorganized by the will of the person making it. The origins of the tea ceremony are tied to the idea of wabi-sabi, beauty in the imperfect, the temporary and the simple. An unevenly glazed cup, a rough bamboo tray, a small room just big enough to sit and bow, all reflect the spirit of Zen, to shake off the noise to find the stillness within. When the tea master bows, lifts the cup, wipes the rim, and turns it at the right angle before offering it to the guest, there is nothing superfluous in each action. For a younger generation living in the lap of technology and speed, chado is easily seen as distant and outdated. But there are groups that revive this ritual as a way to detoxify the mind. A tea ceremony is not just a nostalgia, but a reaction against modern society where everything is too fast, too rushed. In a society that values speed, who still has enough patience to enjoy a 30-second sip of tea? For chado, people call it the first step of concentration. Number 9. Japanese dream spreads worldwide. For much of the world, comics are childhood entertainment. In Japan, manga and anime are serious cultural media read-watched and discussed by people of all ages. A manga can tell a story about war philosophy, loneliness, or even the meaning of existence. An anime episode is more than just animation. It is a carefully crafted mental universe, like a novel with its own emotional depth and philosophical thinking. This industry generates billions of dollars in revenue each year. Works such as Spirited Away Attack, On Titan Your Name, or One Piece are not only famous domestically, but also create a global cultural wave. The Japanese government has actively supported promotion through the Cool Japan strategy, considering this a soft power on par with technology and cuisine. Statistics from the Association of Japanese Animations show that the global anime market is worth more than $25 billion in 2023, with a growth rate of 9.5% per year. From Netflix to Crunchyroll, online platforms are competing to license Japanese anime, a rare phenomenon for non-English speaking cultures. Behind the glamour, however, lies a brutal production system. Manga artists and animators often work more than 60-70 hours a week, earning less than the average urban wage. Some studios have been accused of exploiting workers paying as little as $3 an hour. The dedication of those in the industry is celebrated, but it also requires personal sacrifice. Number 10. Religion's one national soul. In many countries, choosing a religion means rejecting other belief systems. In Japan, that is not necessary. People can attend a Western-style wedding in a church, have a Buddhist funeral, and then pray at a Shinto shrine at the beginning of the year. The blending of indigenous Shinto and imported Buddhism does not create conflict, but rather forms a flexible, uniquely authentic religious fabric. Shinto is an indigenous religion with no fixed doctrine or theological system like Western religions. Shinto focuses on the relationship between humans and nature, expressed through thousands of shrines, rituals, and festivals associated with trees, mountains, and rivers and ancestors. Meanwhile, Buddhism, especially Zen sects, emphasizes inner cultivation, acceptance of impermanence, and the search for enlightenment. These two beliefs exist side by side, applied by Japanese people according to their living conditions, without being bound by the concept of right or wrong about belief. According to a 2022 national survey, more than 70% of Japanese people identify themselves as non-religious, but more than 90% participate in at least one religious ceremony each year. Number 11. Uchi soto. And the multi-level world communication in Japan is not just about words, but is also heavily influenced by the concepts of uchi inside and soto outside. Each relationship is hierarchical, and manners, speech, and even sentence structure must be adjusted to suit the person's position in that hierarchy. Colleagues may call each other by their first names at a pub, but switch to formal honorifics once they return to the office, not for formality, but because of a change in social status. In the workplace, uchi soto defines who is family and who is outsider in a ritualistic sense. Customers, even strangers, are always considered outsiders who need to be treated with the highest level of respect, while employees of the same company are insiders with shared responsibilities and high expectations of compliance. This distinction is not emotionally fixed, but is shaped by role. This system helps maintain order and efficiency in a crowded society, but it also makes it difficult to break through the barrier. Longtime foreigners in Japan often find themselves in the blurred line between uchi and soto, being welcomed in a formal sense, but having difficulty entering the inner circle of real social relationships. Number 12. Japanese transportation and social structure. In Japan, a train that is 30 seconds late is no small matter. It is enough to warrant an apology from the station, a handwritten letter from the staff to passengers, and even an appearance on the evening news. Absolute punctuality is not only a commitment of the transport industry, but also a symbol of the organizational mindset of the whole society. Japan's train system, especially the Shinkansen, the high-speed trains, has an average delay of only 18 to 24 seconds per year. This is not the result of luck, but the ripple effect of technology, discipline, and people. Each journey is scheduled, speed-controlled, safety-checked, and operations coordinated down to the second. It is the norm, not the exception, for trains to stop at the right line doors, to open at the right time, and depart the station on schedule. Yet most people still trust the system. According to a 2023 survey, satisfaction with public transport in Japan exceeded 90%, the highest among OECD countries. That reflects one thing. Accuracy is not just about technical features, it is about social expectations. Number 13. Queue culture. There are no barriers, no supervision, no reminders. But if one person stops, the next person will follow, and the line will form like a reflex. The culture of queuing in Japan is not something that can be taught. It is instilled through education, observation, and absolute social consensus. Even in emergencies, this principle holds true. After the massive earthquake of 2011, the images of people lining up for water, food, and transportation stunned the world. There was no jostling, no fighting, just patience, silence, and mutual respect, as if everyone understood that maintaining order was more important than anything else. The culture of queuing does not come from fear of being punished. It comes from the spirit of meiwaku, avoiding causing trouble for others. Cutting in line is not only considered impolite, but also an act of breaking the invisible order that the whole society maintains. At train stations, convenience stores, or even small restaurants, you will always see long lines of people, even if no one asked you to. Have you ever stood in a long line feeling annoyed by the wait? In Japan, waiting doesn't make anyone uncomfortable. It's a demonstration of a form of unspoken respect. Number 14. AV legal. In Japan, the adult film, adult video, AV industry is not in a legal gray area. It exists openly, is strictly regulated by law, and plays a clear economic role. Every year, martial arts AV products are released, making Japan one of the largest content markets in the world. But behind the legality is a restrictive control system reflecting the consistency between individuals and social order. The law sets clear limits. Scenes must blur genitals in accordance with censorship regulations. Actors must be 18 years or older, have a transparent contract, and have a minimum wait for release period of 4 weeks from the date of filming, as amended in 2022. This provision is intended to limit exploitation and protect actors' right to refuse after the product is completed. In a country where everything is meticulously regulated, AVs are both a manifestation of freedom of choice and a vivid illustration of how Japan manages deviance without letting it get out of control. Number 15. Hikikomori and the failure of the comprehensive integration model. There are people who do not leave their rooms for years. They do not work, do not go to school, do not communicate directly, and hardly leave their own world inside 4 walls. This phenomenon has its own name in Japan, Hikikomori. According to 2022 data, there are about 1.5 million people in a state of severe social isolation lasting at least 6 months, accounting for nearly 2% of the working-age population. Unlike taking a break due to stress, Hikikomori is a systemic reaction to an overly structured society. People who withdraw from social life are often young people facing high family expectations, failing exams, losing their career direction, or simply unable to find their place in a rigid system. After the facts. Not everyone wants to live in a society where every second is disciplined, or where bowing is required at the right angle. But understanding Japan is a way to look at the system we live in, what works well, what is causing invisible pressure, and what is disappearing without us noticing. And if what you've seen gives you a different perspective, a new thought, or simply makes you pause for a few seconds to ask a question, please share this video with others who are interested in such unique social phenomena. Subscribe to the NVL Travel Documentary channel to continue following more in-depth, data-rich, and multi-layered analyses of countries' cultures and social models around the world. A share. Sometimes that's the only way to bring less told stories closer to those who need to hear them.